Well, let's call together the final roundtable for discussion with our midweek MP trio. Mississauga's Stella Ambler is a Conservative MP. Labrador Liberal Yvonne Jones is here. And for the NDP, Toronto MP Peggy Nash. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Tom Lawson's tried to apologize this away. Yvonne, I'll come to you on this one first. Your leader says no matter what he apologizes, how much he apologizes, he's got to go. Why does he have to go?
Well, I believe that when you're dealing with issues like this within the workplace, especially within the military of the country, we've just had a report on this that have been tabled in Canada. We need to have strong leadership, trusting leadership. And I really believe that General Lawson's comments, while he apologized later, was very telling of the culture that exists there, very telling of the opinion that exists at the top brass. And in fact, even the characterization of some of the things that we've seen coming out of the military could never be characterized as just sexual misconduct. I mean, we're talking about sexual violence, sexual abuse against many female members who have served in this country. So I really believe that while he is expected to leave within the next few months, he should be leaving now. There should be repercussions for what's happened here and the attitude that he's espoused.
Peggy, Tom Mulcair didn't go quite that far. Why not?
Well, first of all, let's be clear that sexual violence, sexual assault, harassment is clearly not a problem with biology. It's a problem with control and power. And it really speaks to the need for a whole cultural change within the military. We've seen how many complaints there being coming forward. He's going to retire, and they're going to be leaving in another month or so. Anyway, this is an opportunity to really move on the Deschamps report, start implementing those recommendations. He could use this as an opportunity perhaps to get some training himself. Clearly he needs it. And to show leadership by saying we have to transform the culture of the military. Let's start at the top, but let's make sure that it goes from top to bottom throughout the ranks, and that people understand very clearly what they're dealing with sexual violence and where it comes from, that it's not just out-of-control hormones. That's certainly not the problem. It's a myth, and it's not true.
Stella, you're a high-profile MP with the Conservatives. Jason Kenney could fire this guy right now. Do you think he should?
Well, his successor's already been chosen, and it will be a different person within, I'm not sure, a few weeks, I think. So
well, Jonathan Vance, but
I think, I think the important thing to note is exactly what you were saying, Peggy, that there is a report on the table that the military has accepted, and Lieutenant General Christine Whitecroft. She is heading up this whole process. They've accepted the 10 recommendations of the Deschamps report. I know you've talked about that a lot on this panel, and that's the right thing to do. So while his comments were absolutely unacceptable, inappropriate, and he should never have happened, he did apologize, and I think when someone apologizes, you have to accept that.
Did it offend you as a woman, though, more than forget about the MP starting the military stuff? I mean, this goes to the suggestion that sexual harassment is some sort of biological urge that soldiers can't control.
No, unacceptable. Absolutely, completely inappropriate. There's no doubt.
It's a terrible characterization.
Well,
absolutely. You know, we talk about what's happening in the military right now and the sexual assault and abuse that have taken place. And we have the report, the recommendations have been accepted. Will this change after leadership has an attitude and a thinking like that? I think there needs to be a complete shift inside of the military in terms of how people think and lead in this organization. Because for me, I don't buy into the fact fact that one, this was an error in language.
Awkward.
I don't buy into
To understate.
well, and I don't buy into the fact that it's singular thinking by one person. I'm sorry. This has went on for so long, affected so many people, and I for one, am very upset that he could even characterize our military personnel in that kind of a way.
Last word to you, Peggy.
Well, I think it's a very revealing comment, and what it reveals is bias and maybe ignorance, that he really needs training. And I think it's unfortunate that this kind of attitude is at the very top of the military, and it speaks to the challenge that so many in the military face when they come up against this abuse of power, when sexual violence occurs. So that's why I'm thinking, you know, let's really make sure that leaders throughout the military have training, understand what consent is. And your guest earlier said, let's name things and get rid of these myths. I think that will be a helpful start.
I want to ask you a question. This is probably my last chance to get you on the show before the election. And Stella, I mean, I'm getting it's almost ad nauseum now, but Justin Trudeau keeps saying this place is broken. I'm not pointing blame at anyone, but is this place in need of a huge renovation, if not a tear down and a rebuild?
I think renovations.
Yeah, a lot of it going on out there.
I think, well, I think he was referring specifically to question period, and what I always say when people talk to me about the decorum and question period is that it's 1 hour out of a whole day. So we have to make sure that that's part of the context, so that if you want to reform it, I would say sure. Would improvements make it better, make that 1 hour better? Absolutely.
I'm talking about committees too,
Yeah,
and how chairs are picked, the secret balloting, and that sort of
thing. And there's absolutely room for that and room for discussion for all of that. I know sometimes, you know, we all get a little bit frustrated, I think, in question period for different reasons, but I don't think, I'm not sure that the solution has to be a multi-party solution, I think.
And should 50% of the cabinet be women?
No, I have a real problem with that, actually.
Yeah,
I don't
why?
like that. Because I think people should be chosen on merit for positions in cabinet.
Okay. Your thoughts on all this, Peggy?
Well, you know, some would say that in this Parliament, Tom Mulcair really made question period work, that in fact it was very effective in some instances. Are there improvements that could be made? Certainly. I think that there are things all parties can work on. But, you know, ironically, some of the proposals that we had made about democratic reform, whether it was on proportional representation. Certainly the Liberal Party voted against, and certainly voting with the Liberals voting with the Conservatives on the biggest violation of our rights, Bill C-51, I think confuses people. We saw proposals by Paul Martin, very similar, democratic reform, and then in government nothing was done with those. So I think it's nice to talk the talk, but it's about walking the walk. For example, right now in the Liberal front bench, there's only one woman, I believe.
Well, I think that the Parliament is broken right now, and I've only been there for 2 years, but I had 18 years in another Parliament, and one thing I can tell you, when you continue to bring in omnibus bills to vote in Parliament, that's not how Parliament operates, okay? And we see that every single day with the Harper government. Bill C-51 is just one of those examples. Yeah. I've sat on two parliamentary committees there. Those committees, if you continue to bring in amendments and none ever gets accepted, and there's never an openness to change the way and direction that you're doing things, how is the people's voices getting heard? Right. There needs to be real change, and I suggest that Canadians start paying attention to that.
All right, we'll see what happens in October 19th, and if it's a Liberal government, you'll probably be in cabinet, okay? All right, thank you all. Have a good summer, and we'll see you in September, October, whenever.